And welcome back to a new video of DigiBrains. Today I'm going to show you how you can fetch messages via the Telegram API. And it's really important to mention that we're not using the bot API. There are ton of tutorials in YouTube which will show you how you can use the bot API to send messages or something, but it's much more challenging using the Telegram API and the TD-lib to fetch messages from Telegram, and that's what I'm going to show you today. Generate API keys. To do this, you have to create your own API ID and the API hash, and to do so you should visit this site here and log in there. It's my.telegram.org. And after you did that and after you've logged in, you will see this site here, and there you just go to API development tools, and here you can create a new key, which I already did. So after you got your key and you have probably in your cache, we are going to web.
Let's clean it up. Yes, we clean it up. And we're finished. Install MT Proto to fetch data from Telegram.
The first thing what we want to do is that we're going to create a new service, which we just create in the root folder here. Today we're not focusing on clean code or clean Angular structure. We just want to get this example running. And well, we're creating a new service as the CLI, and we call this service the Telegram API. Okay. Service is created. As we don't want to start from the very early beginning, we are going to use a library which is already out there, which we just have to install, and this is just some kind of a wrapper around the Telegram API for Node, and we can use this for Node and in the browser as well. So it's just a library for both, and that's what we're going to use. As you can see here, it's when you want to use it inside Node, you have to import it from core, and if you want to use it from the browser, you have to import it from the browser. Well, that's what we're going to do. We go to the console and just switch the directory to chat2. Just clear this, then we just install the package, and after that we're installing Prettier as well.
Let's use the API keys to authenticate at Telegram.
The first thing is that we want to make a config where we store the API and the API hash we just copied from Telegram. So we just make a telegram.config.ts file, and inside this TS file we just export the Telegram config, and which is an object. Of course, it's in const, and there we just have the API ID and the API hash. I will add this later and in another screen, as you should not see it, what I'm going to enter. And of course, this was completely wrong. We have to, it's an object. It's not God, it's late, guys, it's late. Okay, we added this config here, which we can now just import in our service. So we just make another public property here, which we call just config, and which is like Telegram config. It's pretty much okay here. And the first step is that we have to import the MT Proto, which we just installed from the browser here. And then after this, we can just create a new instance of MT Proto in our constructor. To do so, we're creating a new public property here, which is just the type empty any, because we don't have typings here. It's a little bit sad. And furthermore, we have the API ID and the API hash, and we just have to make a small adjustment here. We just call config.id, and here config.api hash. So the first step is that we're just creating an instance with the API ID and the API hash, and we're saying that we're not in a test environment, so if you enter your phone number later, you have to enter your real phone number to get the thing working here. Okay, when we have a look at the whole documentation here, the next step is that we're just can make some different calls here with the MT Proto, and that's what we are going to do. We just make one function, which is like our absolute base function, where we just enter different parameters, and we can't call anything of the Telegram API what we want. And the function looks like this. I just prepared this already, and furthermore, if we still have no typings, therefore I'm just adding tsignore here. Otherwise we will have to add the any types or some kind of typings here, which I just don't have at the moment. Therefore this is pretty much okay. But that's not all. We want to add some other methods which we just need to get authenticated. Well, the first thing is that to get authenticated, you need your phone, because whenever you try to log in, you have to enter the code of which Telegram will send to your phone, and to request this code, you have to send your phone number to the backend of Telegram. So what we're having here is just another function where we can do this, like input to the phone and send it to Telegram, that they will send us the code. Well, the last function is pretty easy as well. It's just a sign-in function, and I've prepared this as well. In the sign-in function, it has 3 parameters, which is the phone code, the phone number, and the phone hash. So the phone code, the phone number is pretty straightforward. It's your phone number. The phone code is the code you will receive on your smartphone, and the phone code hash is a hash which will get returned here. So like here we get like a promise which has some kind of a type, and inside this type we have something like this. So send code just returns a promise, where inside is the phone code hash, which we can just extract. Well, we don't have to be that clear at this point, so we just call any here, and we make this promise as well without any typing. It's pretty much okay so far to get like the example running and to get authenticated.
Let's create the HTML for the Telegram login.
The next step is that we're going to our app HTML, and there we just paste in like a rough skeleton on how our complete site should look like. It's very easy. We have like the phone number, which we just make an input, and when we hit the button we just send the phone number of the input, and furthermore we have the Telegram code, so it's like step 2. We could like add step 1 here probably, and so let's add step 1 here, step 2 to to make it more clear. And well, as we already see, we don't have the functions here. Well, we can just create these functions in our app component. And furthermore, we'll make this public. I always make it explicitly public because I think it's like a better styling of code. And yeah, so it looks good. It looks pretty good so far. What we still need is that we have to we need the constructor here, and furthermore we have to inject the service we just created. So Telegram API service, which we will inject here. And so we can use it inside this component. And well, the first thing is that we have to like call the function to send the code here. And to make this whole thing a little bit more easier to handle, like all the any types, I created an interface here which I just call sign-in parameters. And furthermore, I have public property which I call sign-in params as well. And inside this object, we just save all the different parameters of the different steps. So the first thing is that we're going to save, for example, the phone code, the phone number, which we get in here. So we just get the phone here, which is type of string. And well, this function, as I already explained before, just returns the phone code hash. So we have to await this here. And to do so, we just make this thing here async and say it's in promise. Of any type, it's pretty much okay. So, or no, not any. Let's make it a void. And well, it's pretty good so far. So when we hit the button, it just takes the phone number and it saves the phone number inside our public property. It makes a request to the backend, gets the phone code hash, and we save the phone code hash here as well. So pretty straightforward so far. The next step is that we have to sign in with the parameters we here already got. So to do the sign in, we just make the following. We have to enter the code, which we will get from Telegram to our smartphone, which we get here. We pass this just in here in the function. And we have to make this public async as well and make a promise void here as well. And this looks pretty good so far. And what we're just doing, we get the code, save it in the params, that's okay. Then we make the request to the backend where we just pass in all the params. So this is pretty good. And to see if we get like a correct authentication, we just print the sign-in result to the console. Well, this looks pretty fine so far. I think we got everything to like just start the application and have a look if it's working or not. Oh, I see that we have a compile error here. This is because I think we did not add the node type at the tsconfig app. And we just have to add node here, and I think it should work out. Probably have to install this now. It's working out. So just go to the tsconfig app.json and locate compiler options, and inside the types just add node and type meter. Okay,
let's test the authentication.
Well, let's go back to the terminal and just enter yarn start or npm run start. Start. Always struggling with different runners here. Npm run start. So it's already building our Telegram chat app. Let's take some time. Okay, so we can go to localhost port 4200. We do so. And we will open the console as well here, and we make this a little bit. Wanted to increase the size, but sadly it's not working. Well, yeah, however. Okay, the first step is that we have to insert our phone number here. It's important that you add the language code as well. So probably if you are in Germany as I am, then you have to add +49, and then you just succeed with your number. So after you have entered your number, you just hit the send phone number, and then you should get a hint to your phone. Hopefully. But that's not true. It says the connection API ID is invalid, which is of course true because I did not enter the API hash as I said I will do. But I will do this now, and which is the API hash. And we have to enter phone number again. Or I have to do this. Oh, and now I already got a notification of Telegram which says that I got a login code. Which I will enter.
And now we see the sign-in result in the console. In the next step, we will fetch the messages.
So the next step, what we're going to do is that we are locating our Telegram API service, and inside this service we have to create a new function where we want to fetch the history of chats for a specific username. Well, to do this, we're going to create a new async function which will return a promise. And we just call this function getHistory, and it gets a single parameter, which is just a string which we call username. And furthermore, we're going to log this username out. So we just see in the console what we want to do. Well, after we did this, we have to fetch some kind of metadata to the username which we want to request the chat for. And for this, we're going to call a method which is called resolve username, and which is part of like the contacts section. And we're calling this method with a single parameter, which is just called username, where we just pass in the sanitized username, which we get from the method. So good so far. Well, the next thing is that we have to extract the metadata which we need to fetch the data from a chat. Well, this is the hash and the chat ID, which we just get of the resolved group here. And we're going to use these two parameters for our next call, which is the getHistory. And we can call this getHistory method with different parameters, which are like the spear parameter, which is obviously, so the underscore just indicates which constructor we should use, and this is the input for the constructor, so the channel ID and access hash. And furthermore, we just add the max ID, the offset, and the limit. Well, the max ID, I'm not 100% sure what this does, but the offset says, so if you don't want to get like the first 10 messages, then well, it should start like at the 11th message. And the limit just says, okay, give me the next 10 messages starting from the offset. But what we can do now is that we can have a look at the Telegram API, and there we can just find out what the max ID can do, or what we can do with this. And therefore we just like search for the Telegram API, get history. I think we should find this here. Here we see like the description of the different parameters, and here we have the max ID, which says if a positive value was transferred, the method will return only messages with IDs less than max ID. Okay, so this means that just if we already got the response, the first response, then we can just add this max ID, and well, these messages are just ignored. Okay. However, as we don't need this here, and this is the method so far to fetch the messages, we're going back to the app component. And inside the app component, we're going to create a new subject, which we call the requested channel. And inside the subject, we are just going to trigger the channel which we want to request. Obviously, as the name already suggests. So the next step is that we have to fetch the messages and save these messages inside a property which we just call the history messages property. And this is an observable, therefore we just add here the $sign, and we have to import all the things. Well, this history messages does nothing else than it pipes the requested channel here, which says, okay, give me just the requested channel, which is the input, and we are just going to switch map these, and then we just resolve the promise. And well, that's pretty much it. So get history returns a promise, and therefore we can just use it inside switch map, and it's pretty fine so far. Furthermore, we're going to remove the console log here, as we don't need this anymore, and we're going to add another helper function to transform a Unix date to a real date, a Unix timestamp to date. So, well, that's just a helper function I got from Stack Overflow. It's nothing special. Well, so next step is that we're using the whole things which we have produced here in our app component, and to do this we're just creating a new section which we call, like in an H1, which is called messages, this section, and inside this section we're going to use a new input field where we just insert the requested channel. I add postfix underscore here, otherwise we would get the name conflict with the subject, which I called requested channel as well. And when we click on the button, we just emit the requested channel value to the requested channel subject. Okay, that's pretty fine so far, and we have a title here as well. The last step is that we have to display all the messages inside the component, and to do so we just make a new section. We just say, okay, which channel we just requested. And well, don't wonder about this async or about this highlighting problem here. WebStorm, it seems WebStorm still has some trouble with Angular 13. Actually, I haven't found any solution for this yet, but it's not that big problem for me because we don't use Angular 13 in our real project yet. But probably there is a fix. So if you know a fix for this, just let me know in the comments. Would be really helpful, really great. And yeah, Well, let's think what we're doing here, that we're just iterating over all the messages we get from history messages, and we use the message.date and transform this to a normal date, and furthermore we're printing out the message. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope I did not forget anything, but we will just have a look at the console while it's generating a message. It's good.
Let's have a look at the final result.
Let's go back to the browser. We already see the things here. The problem is I have not any Telegram group yet to test out the whole thing, but just give me a second. I'm sure I will find some kind of a pump group. Well, I have one here which is called Pump Leaks, and we will try out if this is working here. Or let's try with Pump Leaks. I'm not sure this is working. Okay, well, I'm not authenticating once more because we already authenticated us in the step before, and therefore we're still authenticated. So you could probably implement some logic that these first two inputs are not shown when you're authenticated, for example. So we're going to see all the messages of the Pump Leaks group here, and the Pump Leaks is Telegram. Pump Leaks is a Telegram channel, as you see here, which has like 126,000 members. So it's not just like a personal chat or something. So it's a real big group where we now can fetch the messages from. And as you see here, well, the messages are requested or responded in reverse. So, well, like the oldest message is the first, but which is pretty normal because like it seems normal to us. Yeah. And yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. Well, if we can maybe use another group name here as well. And I already just saw that I forgot to change the title of the button here, which we can make now. Just give me a second. That looks bad. Here, like request messages. Okay. And then we just insert this group name, and we see the messages of the cryptocurrency pump, and well, it's working pretty fine. You see a timestamp, you see the messages, and I think that's pretty much everything which I wanted to show you. I hope you enjoyed the video. Give me a thumb up if you like. If you have any questions or want to see more videos of this Telegram stuff, just let me know. And yeah, have a nice day. Bye.
You want to improve your programming skills? Then subscribe to the channel and click the bell.
Bing.